It started with the sound of a sharp knock on my door, the kind of knock that doesn't wait patiently, it demands attention. When I opened it, there she stood, Karen, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched on the edge of her nose, lips pinched into that tight, joyless line that had become her trademark. Her tone was as sharp as the morning air. "That flag on your porch," she said, pointing down the driveway without so much as a greeting. "It has to come down. HOA rules, no unapproved banners, no exceptions." I followed her gaze toward the flag flapping gently in the morning breeze. It wasn't a random banner or some decorative yard piece. It was the official state flag. And at that moment I realized Karen had just picked the wrong fight. Life in our neighborhood had always been quiet on the surface. But beneath that calm suburban exterior, Karen ruled with the authority of a monarch. She knew every bylaw, every regulation, and she used them like weapons. Trash bins out too long? Notice on your door. Lawn too patchy? Expect a fine. Holiday decorations a day late? She'd snap a photo and report it within hours. People didn't argue. They complied. Most were too busy or too weary to challenge her endless crusade for order. But this time her clipboard had pointed at the wrong target. Because what she thought was an HOA violation was, in fact, a symbol of state heritage. The flag itself meant something to me. I'd inherited it from my grandfather, a proud veteran who had served his state with distinction. It wasn't some cheap decoration bought online. It was stitched by hand, its colors rich and bold, its fabric weathered but dignified. Every time it fluttered in the wind, it reminded me of where I came from, of history, of pride that stretched far beyond the property lines Karen thought she controlled. To me, it was more than cloth. It was legacy. And when she demanded it be removed, something in me hardened. I tried reason first. "Karen, this is the state flag. It's not a decorative banner. It's an official emblem," she scoffed, rolling her eyes like I'd just made an excuse to keep a Halloween skeleton up in July. "It doesn't matter what you call it," she snapped. "The HOA has rules. No flagpoles except the American flag. Everything else is clutter." She scribbled something furiously on her clipboard, as if her pen could erase history. My patience thinned. "You're wrong," I said firmly, "and you'll regret pushing this." But Karen thrived on confrontation. She smirked, turning away as if victory was already hers. "We'll see what the board says." What happened next spiraled faster than even I expected. Within a week, I received an official violation notice demanding I remove the flag or face daily fines. Neighbors whispered as they walked past. Some supportive, others too afraid to take sides. Karen, meanwhile, paraded down the street as if she'd already won, making comments loud enough for me to overhear. Rules are rules. If one person gets away with it, they all will. We can't have chaos. But deep down, I knew she was about to run headfirst into a wall she couldn't climb. Because I didn't just ignore her notice. I made a call. The state government had an office dedicated to heritage and public symbols. And I knew my situation wasn't just personal, it was a matter of law. Within days, I had confirmation. State flags are protected by statute. No HOA, no private board, no clipboard warrior had the authority to strip residents of their right to display one. And that's when everything shifted. The day of reckoning arrived under a brilliant blue sky, the kind that makes flags stand out vividly against the sun. Karen was in her usual spot, patrolling the street like a sentry, clipboard in hand. When a state vehicle pulled into the cul-de-sac, her smug expression faltered. Out stepped a state heritage officer in a formal suit, badge gleaming, carrying a leather portfolio under one arm. Neighbors peeked through blinds, some stepping onto porches. Sensing that something was about to happen, the officer walked directly up to my porch, shook my hand warmly, and then turned toward Karen. "Are you the one who issued this complaint?" he asked, his voice polite but firm. Karen straightened, trying to regain her confidence. "Yes," she said crisply. "This resident is in violation of HOA rules. That flag is unauthorized and must be removed." Her words echoed with the certainty of someone who had never truly been challenged. The officer opened his portfolio, pulled out a document and adjusted his glasses. His tone shifted, gaining weight. "Ma'am, you are mistaken. This flag is not only authorized, it is protected under state law. No association, board, or private group has the authority to prohibit its display. Demanding its removal is not only inappropriate, it is unlawful." The silence that followed was electric. Karen's face flushed crimson, her mouth opening and closing as if searching for a rebuttal that didn't exist. Neighbors leaned in closer, whispers rippling through the air like wind through leaves. For the first time, the clipboard in her hand looked powerless. The officer continued, his voice carrying for everyone to hear. In fact, residents are encouraged to display the state flag as a matter of pride and tradition. Any attempt to restrict that right could result in legal consequences for the HOA. His words landed like hammer strikes. Karen stumbled back a step, clutching her clipboard tighter, but it was useless. Her authority had just been dismantled in front of the entire neighborhood. The irony was too rich. Karen, who had built her identity on enforcing rules, had just been exposed as ignorant of the law herself. And the best part? The officer didn't stop there. He turned back to me, his expression warm. "Thank you for preserving this tradition," he said. "Not many people take the time to honor their state like this. You're setting a good example." My chest swelled with pride, not just for myself, but for the memory of my grandfather, for the legacy stitched into that flag. Around us, neighbors began nodding, murmuring agreement. Some even clapped softly. The tide had turned. Here's the real kicker. Karen didn't just lose the battle. She lost her grip on the neighborhood. After that day, people stopped fearing her clipboard. They realized she wasn't an all-knowing enforcer, but someone who could be wrong, embarrassingly wrong. Some neighbors even started flying their own state flags. Small acts of defiance that collectively eroded her authority. Where once her notices had been met with silence, now they were met with pushback. "Are you sure that's a rule, Karen?" People would ask, smirking. The illusion of control had cracked, and no amount of citations could glue it back together. But there's another layer here. Why do people like Karen exist? Why do they cling so tightly to power that isn't truly theirs? Maybe it's insecurity, a need to feel important. Maybe it's the illusion that control over lawns and flags translates to something greater. Or maybe it's just the dangerous comfort of unchecked authority. Whatever it is, her downfall was a reminder that authority without knowledge, without integrity, collapses the moment it's tested. And that collapse, it's loud, public, and unforgettable. The climax of this story isn't just the officer's words, though they cut like steel. It's the image burned into everyone's memory. Karen, standing red-faced in the middle of the cul-de-sac, clipboard trembling in her hand, while the state officer calmly dismantled her argument with the force of law. That's the moment people talk about when they tell the story now. That's the moment her reign ended. So what's the takeaway here? It's simple. Don't be afraid to stand up for what's right, especially when you know the truth is on your side. Loud voices, clipboards, and threats mean nothing if they're not backed by law, by integrity, by real authority. And sometimes, doing the right thing doesn't just protect you, it inspires others to stop living in fear. That flag didn't just stay up on my porch. It became a symbol for the whole neighborhood. A reminder that power isn't about who shouts the loudest. It's about who stands firm when it matters most. Even now, when the breeze picks up and the flag unfurls proudly against the sky, I think back to that day, to Karen's stunned silence, to the neighbors finally breathing easier, to the officer's words that turned the tide. And I realize it wasn't just about a flag. It was about truth standing taller than arrogance, about legacy outlasting control. Karen demanded I take it down. Instead, it stood taller than ever, a banner not just of the state, but of justice.